This is CBC Windsor. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer LaGrassa. Katarina is away. We begin with the newly released provincial budget. It focuses on tariffs and relief for workers, but that all comes at a cost. CBC's Mike Crawley breaks it down.
The finance minister is all smiles as he prepares to deliver his budget, but the picture it paints for the Ontario economy can only be described as grim.
Ontario and all of Canada are at a precipice, and we need to take serious steps to make sure we do not find ourselves anywhere near the bottom.
Peter Bethlenfalvy's budget speech is packed with rousing statements about the government's plans.
What we have in store for Ontario's economic future is nothing short of revolutionary.
The budget document contains rather dreary numbers. Tepid economic growth forecasts for 2025 and 2026. The unemployment rate expected to stay above 7% this year and next. And corporate profits forecast to drop, bringing the province's tax revenues down with them.
We will need to bolster our economy by investing in our powerful and promising industries, by building more, by building faster, and by protecting jobs and creators.
The main tariff-fighting fund announced in the budget is called the Protecting Ontario account. It's a promise of up to $5 billion to support businesses, but it's not yet actually on the books. And even without it, the deficit is forecast to exceed $14 billion.
Tariffs were the excuse for the election. Now they're the excuse to continue this government's pattern of overspending and under-delivering.
Even the province's take from alcohol is expected to drop this year. LCBO profits headed down by more than $300 million. Booze tax receipts down too, for a total revenue drop of nearly $500 million.
This is a Band-Aid budget. It is a missed opportunity to strengthen Ontario.
The Ford government has now tabled 7 budgets since first coming to power. Every single one has forecast a deficit, including today's. This year's budget also pushes back the Ford government's timeline for getting out of the red. There isn't a balanced budget in the forecast until 2027. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
We're joined now by Ontario's Minister of Finance, Peter Bethlenfalvy. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So for auto workers who are watching right now, who think that their job is in jeopardy because of tariffs, what's in this budget for relief and retraining?
Well, look, we've got about $30 billion of tariff-related measures that we've announced for immediate relief. It includes $11 billion of supports for businesses through tax deferrals, $9 billion, $2 billion through rebates through WSIB, $1 billion for worker retraining and reskilling, and another $40 million to support trade-impacted communities. So there's a lot of relief here, but we're also got our eye on the long term because we need to build our economy, build the big things in our nation, be it Ring of Fire, nuclear energy, become an energy superpower. So we have lots of positive momentum in our economy.
The province had invested a lot into Windsor's EV battery plant Nexstar. It's expected to bring 2,500 jobs here. With news this week that, Honda is pausing its auto investments in the province and generally electric vehicle sales softening, are there any concerns around whether that investment in Windsor will pay off?
Look, we think about it in the long term. We're totally committed to Windsor, to the EV market. We've attracted some $46 billion of investments. The federal government ourselves are helping that along and supporting the workers, and EVs will be part of the future. And we stand behind those investments, and we stand behind the great workers who produce those cars, which are some of the best workers for car manufacturing in all of North America.
So I want to switch to health care. Ontario is experiencing a massive measles outbreak. Windsor, Essex, Chatham, Kent are some of those harder hit areas. Are there any additional funds in this budget for public health units to address this ongoing outbreak?
Well, Sylvia Jones, our health minister, is on top of that, along with Dr. Karen Moores for public health. There's a lot of money in for public health. Our record investments in health care, we increased it by over $10 billion. From just the fall economic statement, and we're leading the country investing in primary care and preventative care, another $2.1 billion led by Dr. Jane Philpott. So there's many measures of record investments for our health care to keep people safe.
Right, but it sounds like there isn't that dedicated funding to the measles outbreak. Why is that?
No, there's absolutely dedicated funding. Let's be very clear. Not only is there funding for vaccines, and we encourage everyone to get vaccinated, there's funding for awareness programs, and as I just said, attaching people to family doctors, a record investment so that every Ontarian who wants to have a family doctor, that we're going to bring that to fruition, and we lead the country in that, but we are going to do even more over the next 4 years.
And then I just wanted to end on the provincial government, in this budget is putting millions aside to buy a helicopter for the Windsor Police to use at the U.S. border. Why is that when that is overseen by the federal government?
Well, look, we, through Operation Deterrence, we're doing our part in the provincial government through the Ontario Provincial Police, working in partnership with others. We announced 2 helicopters, new helicopters today, including Windsor, which will be managed by the OPP, and they're doing a fantastic job also for Niagara. We want to give all the tools available to our first responders, our law enforcement, so they have the tools necessary to get all the bad actors. And I made it very clear in today's budget, we're going after the bad actors.
Okay, thanks so much, Minister. Thanks for being here. That's Ontario Minister of Finance, Peter Bethlenfalvy. We've got Colette Kennedy here now. A beautiful day out there, Colette.
Yeah, just, tremendous conditions, lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, even a little bit of humidity in there as well. And you'd think, well, it's just going to be a lovely evening. Even these few little pockets of very, very light showers drying up, not even reaching the ground. But I do have to let you know that there is something more substantial to come. And yeah, pretty dramatic here with all these lightning strikes. This is this line of thunderstorms. The higher risk for the severe weather is essentially where it is now and a little bit further east, but we have a slim chance, and because of that, I do want to give you some more detail when I come back a little later in the show. But know that tonight, after midnight, we do have some thunderstorms coming our way. Yes, the risk of some damaging winds there. 17 tonight, and then more heat to come tomorrow. I have more details on that coming up too.
Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
The OPP officer at the center of a manslaughter trial in Chatham-Kent took the stand for the first time. The veteran officer is accused of killing an Indigenous man. CBC's Pratouche Dayal has more details.
OPP Constable Sean O'Rourke is on trial for manslaughter in the shooting death of 24-year-old Nicholas Greaves. And on the 4th day of this trial, the court heard from O'Rourke himself on his actions in the early hours of July 7th, 2021. Greaves was shot on the 401 after stealing $40 worth of fuel from a Dutton gas station. O'Rourke told the court he and a fellow officer pursued Greaves because he suspected other criminal activity. He tried to perform a stop but says Greaves' car rammed his cruiser, calling it very violent, unexpected and intentional. Greaves' car spun out of control and ended up in the ditch. O'Rourke told the court he could see into the eyes of the driver, calling them crazed. He approached the car with his gun drawn, testifying he believed there was a weapon in the vehicle. That's when he stumbled forward, lost his balance and fell into the car. The gun went off. It completely shocked me. I didn't know why, I didn't know how. That's what O'Rourke told the court in tears. He and another officer performed CPR until paramedics arrived. His fingers remained on the slide of the gun, O'Rourke testified. On Wednesday, the court heard from a firearms expert who examined the gun and said it was in working order. But Greaves died later in the hospital. The Crown is expected to cross-examine O'Rourke Friday morning. Pratouche Dayal, CBC News, Windsor.
Detroit is celebrating a big milestone. The city is leading population growth in the state of Michigan. It's yet another sign of the city's revival. CBC's Dalton Chen reports.
It's official. Detroit is growing. A recently released U.S. Census report estimates the Motor City's population at 645,705 residents. That's an increase of more than 12,000 over last year. At an announcement today, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan said the city's hard work is paying off.
For the first time since the 1950s, the mayor of Detroit can say that the city of Detroit is leading the population growth in the state of Michigan. This is driven by people moving into the neighborhoods. There's no question about it. And now the neighborhoods aren't forgotten by the Census Bureau anymore. Now they're being counted, and It means great news for the city of Detroit. All of our efforts for the last 10 or 12 years are being recognized by the national statistics.
Duggan says the increase is made up of two parts: 6,800 new residents and an additional 5,700 people that hadn't been counted in previous years. Demographic research consultant Kurt Metzger has been studying Detroit's population figures since 1975. He and others have been trying to get the Census Bureau to change how it counts people.
Unfortunately, the Census Bureau estimates population based on housing units. People are not part of this whole, they didn't go out and count people again in 2024. It's an estimate that's done based on the number of new housing units. The Bureau was not recognizing rehabs as new housing units. Now people are choosing to invest in Detroit, to rehab buildings, developing the neighborhoods, and that's translating to population growth.
The latest boost lifts Detroit on the rankings of the most populous U.S. cities. It's now the 26th largest city in America, just above Portland and just below Boston. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Wings Rehabilitation Center in Amherstburg says to keep alert when on the road. It could save an animal's life. Right now, the rescue is home to at least 2 cohorts of baby opossums. They were rescued from their mother's pouches after being found on the side of the road. We spoke to the wildlife coordinator at Wings.
The little guys, you're feeding them every 2 hours, 3 hours around the clock. Bigger guys, you can spread it out to 3 to 4 hours. When they start to lap like this guy, you will feed them only a couple times a day just to make sure that they get enough. So the little guys, they came in yesterday from the main site as well. Mom was probably hit by a car, but her injuries were too severe, so they had to put her down.
Okay.
And then brought the babies to me. For opossums, we always recommend that you bring, if you see movement on the underside of the belly, which usually means it's a female, and that there would be babies, bring mom and babies all to the center and we'll deal with taking them off. Because if they're small, you can actually cause more harm by pulling them off because you might tear the nipples and then the babies might choke.
Do you get a lot of possums here?
We do from time to time. I can easily have 60, 70 of them at a time that need to be fed. It's just baby season, right? So spring, late March, early April now seems to be the time that we start getting babies. We get raccoons and squirrels and possums and baby birds right now. Later will be skunks. Just be aware of your surroundings, dusk and dawn, usually things are on the move because it's cooler. So just be cautious about the shoulders. Things like possums, they move pretty slow. Turtles move pretty slow. Be careful where you dispose of your garbage. So what we call the apple core effect. So if you throw an apple core outside the road, what does it do? It attracts smaller animals. Well, who eats that smaller animals? A larger mammal or a bird, and then what happens is they get hit. So always be cautious of how you dispose of your garbage, whether it be compostable or not.
A Windsor-Essex film, Vampire Zombies from Space, is garnering a lot of attention at festivals around the world. This week, it's arrived at the prestigious Cannes Film Festival in the south of France. It's not in the competition, but its rights are up for grabs by international distributors. 2 of the film's creative minds joined our radio host, Amy Dodge.
Vampire Zombies from Space.
You can't shoot these things.
The nice thing about this film is the title is the synopsis right there, Vampire Zombies from Space. And if you're on board with the title, you'll be on board with the film. It's a 1950s black and white homage to those kind of like monster movies, those drive-in movies from back then.
Puncture marks in the jugular, and yet the heart still ticks.
Kind of the B movie or camp movie on purpose. What we've done is hopefully written kind of a love letter to that and turned things on its head a little bit. But yeah, essentially the vampire zombies and Dracula come down to a small town in the middle of North America and they want to take over. And but there's a group of ragtag residents who say no, and they all have their special skill set to foil his plan.
So seeing it come to life on set, is like, oh, okay, yeah, this is really funny. This is really good. To see all these, again, local people, again, local cast, local crew, kind of do their magic. I was like, okay, all right, I think we have something here.
Always cool to see films made in Windsor. We'll be back very soon. Stay with us. Lower-level peace talks between Russia and Ukraine have begun in Istanbul, but with Russian leader Vladimir Putin a no-show, any hopes of a breakthrough appear to be low. Crystal Gomansing has the latest.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine is committed to coming to an agreement to end the war. He says his delegation will be headed up by Ukraine's Defense Minister Rustem Umerov in these talks. Earlier, Zelensky was critical of the Russian delegation, calling it a sham, saying only Putin has the authority to end the war because it is his war. Now, these talks in Istanbul were reportedly to start in the morning. On board Air Force One, U.S. President Donald Trump said he didn't think there would be much movement until he met with the Russian president personally.
Obviously, he wasn't going to go. He was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there. And I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have to get it solved because too many people are dying.
Zelensky says if Russia fails to take steps forward to a ceasefire, Russia should be hit with fresh sanctions. A number of Ukrainian allies called out Russia as the obstacle to peace.
Ukraine is ready to commit to a ceasefire and immediate negotiations. That's absolutely clear. The ball is now clearly in Russia's court. They have to explain what they are doing, why they are here or not, and with what team or whatever.
What's happened today is further evidence that it's Putin who is dragging his feet. It is Putin who is causing the delay in a ceasefire.
Those comments, a message to Russia, but likely to the U.S. as well. U.S. President Donald Trump previously said he believes Russia is ready to end the war and was critical of Ukraine's willingness to sit down for serious talks. It was Trump who said over the weekend that Zelensky should accept Putin's offer to sit down and talk. Crystal Gomansing, CBC News, London.
After 2 consecutive nights of heavy bombing in Gaza, hospital officials are treating the wounded. Palestinian medics say Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 60 people. Journalist Trent Murray has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Well, Gaza's Civil Defense Agency has reported a major uptick in the number of Israeli airstrikes across multiple locations across the Gaza Strip. A lot of the focus remains around Khan Yunis in the south, where a camera operator working for the Associated Press has reported at least 10 airstrikes in that area. He is also reporting that the Nasser hospital there is under significant strain, with bodies being brought in, often multiple bodies in one body bag, just given the amount of people that have been caught up in all of this. We are also seeing airstrikes in the north around the Jabalia refugee camp, as well as around Gaza City. In Gaza City, the IDF issued one of its largest evacuation orders that we have seen, telling people there that they needed to leave because of imminent attacks. This is an area where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been sheltering in places like schools, having previously escaped fighting in other parts of the Strip. Now, away from the fighting, the humanitarian situation on the ground continues to be a major concern for aid groups, but an American aid organisation known as the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has put out a statement saying that they are preparing to start delivering some crucially needed aid by the end of this month. Of course, this comes after Israel implemented a blockade on Gaza back on 2nd of March. This GHF Foundation is saying that Israel is also planning to announce that they will lift that blockade sometime this month, in the interim between when the GHF supplies get in. The Israeli government has not officially confirmed that, but it certainly, I think, would be welcome news for a number of aid groups who continue to say that crucial supplies are running out and some 500,000 Palestinians are now at risk of starvation. Trent Murray for CBC News, Tel Aviv.
Take a look at this. So that's a massive block of ice as tall as a 20-story building collapsing from the edge of the famous Perito Moreno Glacier in Argentina. This process called calving isn't new, but glacier experts say it's a worrying trend. They're noticing bigger ice columns breaking off and more frequently. Colette Kennedy is back with us. Colette, we had a gorgeous day today, but I hear we're going to get some rain maybe.
Yeah, so just looking at, gorgeous conditions, but also some of the ingredients here for some active weather. So yes, some heat, but also some humidity. And then we've got a lifting agent with a front that's going to be coming through. And I mean, speaking of heat, Chicago at 34, 31 for Madison. And it's some of these areas where it is that enhanced risk for the severe weather. In fact, seeing it as we've got those storms that are developing. And I'll show you that here in just a moment on the radar. But for southwestern Ontario, including Windsor here, it's a moderate risk that we could have some damaging winds. If you've got patio furniture out or things like that, you may want to just make sure things are kind of locked down or secured, because this comes in the overnight hours. Some small hail possible, isolated tornadoes. The risk is there, but it is more enhanced a bit further towards the west. Our current readings, 26 lovely degrees. Sarnia as well. Chatham-Kent just a little bit cooler at 26, but of course for Windsor, it feels like 32, so there is some humidity there. These are just some sprinkles here drying up in the upper atmosphere, so not impacting the evening, and the evening remains quite lovely. It's not till we approach midnight we need to be thinking about this. It is a very fast-moving front and these storms associated with it, so just showing you how that's going to play out with the timeline here coming into southwestern Ontario. We're really doing fine as we go through the early evening hours, even the later evening hours, and then here it is midnight where I've paused this right on our doorstep. Still relatively strong here as this comes through. The timing is somewhat helpful to us, but it'll weaken further in the overnight. Races right through by 3 a.m. impact on London up towards Goderich, but say till about 2 a.m., midnight to 2 a.m. for Windsor to Chatham-Kent, Leamington, and through these regions. Now, after that, it moves on by, and guess what? We get some clearing and get into a hot and steamy and actually sunny day most of Friday into the later hours, evening and overnight Friday into Saturday, though. Yes, I know we're going into a holiday weekend. We will have some cloud cover times. and some showers coming our way too. Now, with these line of storms moving through, could have some pockets where we're talking 20 to maybe even 30 millimeters of rain, somewhat localized, but that risk is there. Temperatures tonight, those are going to be mild, that humidity helping to keep those temperatures up. But look at tomorrow, 29 degrees. It's going to feel like almost 35. Then we go into the holiday weekend. Yes, a little unsettled, certainly Saturday, breezy as well. It is going to be nicer Sunday, Monday, but just know a cooler feel from where we are at.
Okay. Thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
And thanks everyone for watching. Have a good evening.
Good night.